Good evening. Thank you for joining me in this recorded launch of my new collection, The Centre of Always. Hopefully many of you will be able to join us for a traditional launch in the not too distant future. In the meantime, if you stay with us, I'd like to share a few poems. Before I do so, I would like to thank my niece Florence, who is at the other side of the camera and producing this short film, and my publisher, Dominic Taylor of Revival Press, for his confidence in my work. Dominic will be saying a few words after the film, as will Tom Connaughty, who launched my first collection nearly 5 years back now. And I would like to thank Seamus Cashman, who has endorsed this collection. You can read his very kind words on the back cover of the book. Seamus, as you know, was the founder and editor of Wolfhound Press and has been invaluable to me in editing and advising on the first draft. As you can well imagine, bringing a collection out at this time is somewhat daunting. But as the months go by, I see more and more poets rising to this challenge. Publishers, printers and bookshops are all still in business, and poetry books make great Christmas gifts, so I would urge you to support them. You don't have to buy my book, but please do buy. The Centre of Always is available as of now direct from the publisher's Revival Press, and hopefully we will have it in some local bookshops after the 2nd of December. You can check out my Facebook page for updates. If you can, please share this film. It's the only way of getting out there at the moment. The first thing I read this morning was a quote from Jay Ramsey, and let me share this with you. He says, "We are all creatures of the dawn and of awakening." And I thought that's a good place to start. I had already picked the first poem that I would read. It's called Towards Morning Light, and it happens to be the first poem in the collection. Towards morning light. Answer the question or begin to write it down. I have put off my ghost search long enough. Where was I going through this sleepless night? At dawn I dreamt that I had gone to school, not knowing much, but carrying a sack of ripened pears, apples and plums that showed the indents of their pickers. Classrooms vibrated chaos around me, lined up possibilities before me, unmarked doors which I could slip through, autumn gifted, yet still curious. I ask my woken self, what do you reach for, Old Testament or New? This day, believing in surprise, my thumb and index finger grip the dial, the radio projecting sounds to latch on, waves of a world in waiting, marvellous confusions, responsive to my touch. Christmas in College Park. What little light still lingers rolls great purple clouds to single glow of evening over College Park. The nearby clamour softened on this open ground, whose rim of wooden benches and streaming flow of this year's student body passing with much purpose between the lecture rooms and faculties resound, receptive of grave knowledge, keeping time with time. March of generation after generation, all in line yet bound to melt. The fact I waged a future once seems unimportant now. With time to kill and resting as I must, my mobile clutched in expectation, strangers pause beneath the nearest light, turning away from one another. A troop of visitors creeps by with one voice asking, is this sky typical of Ireland end of year? I want to answer yes, but stay on wait, leaving the reply to the commissioned guide, who uneased by the question hesitates before he makes an answer. Sometimes, which is not an answer but a putting off. The visitors depart. My phone begins to sing, and what would you expect? I let it go. It's Christmas in a college park, and Cassiopeia is still above us. Some unswept leaves are playing on the pitch. The shimmering of lamplight quickens. Perhaps a voice comes calling from that other age, drunk on holiness. Warm memory stirs the soul to stay in touch with hope, courage, and common love. Winter seashore blues. Down by the water, children are playing all day long, all day. Children keep playing down by the water all through the length of the day. All through the summer, the children keep playing as summer is slipping away. Down by the water, mothers are calling all day long, all day. Mothers are calling down by the water, anxious the length of each day, that down by the shoreline in dream time their wandering children might stray. All through bleak winter, wet winds keep on blowing all day long, all day. Here by the water, strong wet winds keep blowing, blowing the winter away. The seagulls are circling down by the water, just like children at play. Big breakers sounding down on the shoreline all winter long, all day. Big breakers pounding down on this ghost line, beating our dream times all day. White wreckers hounding all through the winter, eating our small times away. I'm going to read the last poem in the collection, which starts with a quote from Rilke. How they disperse in the winds of May from the centre of always. The morning wet, a dim light faintly brushes the window's glaze. I set aside, redress, retry, and walk the broken pavements where we conversed our Sundays, threading byways to fantastic heights. The future spread before us, a thing of little value then, blink of an eye. The book closed, I recoup, exemporize the innocence of youth. But stymied, stumbled on this rainy day, impossible to count my can'ts of going back. I settled on the holding place. Uncaged but staying put, glance left and right of me, to see a world in motion real, a young girl setting down her coffee cup with thoughtless ease, indulgent grace and beautiful precision. So I inhale, drink this common air, identify. Once known the pleasures of a given day, stay waiting like a scented glove, a token stowed and boxed away and treasured in its case, until discovered by some chance, you hold and feel it in your time-worn hand and re-engage. No place to be that's brighter now. Noon always was the measure of our love. No shadows cast or thrown about us on the sun-drenched cobbled ground. Always, the word we mean to fasten by, yet still the point of possible from which we disperse always. One sidestep made, the whole scene reconfigures, a bricolage of mornings in a distant spring. The girl, gathering her possessions, soon departs, leaving as she does, discreetly, some small change, while slipping from the centre, her untrammeled self steps out. I would like to finish with the poem called Surviving Mary Shelley, and in fact, this poem is connected with the image on the front of the book. Surviving Mary Shelley. It is the forward leap that sows. Belief in landing is the second thing, and not the first, that captures man's prime need for reckless joy. So let the conga dance proceed apace into the arms of racing time. Each clasp a stranger's pair of moving hips, and holding fast feast on the frame of verse. For us, no recompense. Love is and always stays in the spring, the one tremendous fling we make of our own selves into the nonsense. The centre of always. Thank you.
First of all, Daragh, thank you sincerely for the early copy, and I feel very privileged to be among the first readers of your second collection, The Centre of Always. Congratulations to you and Revival Press for the production of a beautiful book. I know you can't judge a book by its cover, but the beautiful image of the couple taking a leap, their faith in taking a plunge on the zip wire, heralds what may be found within the covers. I, for one, wasn't disappointed, and the journey you take us on is full of delights and surprises. There's lots of things I could say, but one is of poetry. If poetry is anything, it's an expedition. It's a quest for truth and knowledge. It's about finding out, and the only way we can find out is to ask the question. And I love that this is the way that you predicate your search in the centre of always, and the construction of your book is based on the question. You boldly open with the interrogative, answer the question, then qualify it slightly by saying, or begin with, or write it down. And the opening poem explores the uncertainty of the orthodoxies of books and schools. Is it Old Testament or New Testament, you ask? Your response to the question is the source and the basis of the book, The Centre of Always. Your response is, affirmatively, it's a ghost search, in search of the elusive. It's about chaos and finding possibilities. It's about throwing yourself into confusion. And also, as you do in the centre poem, Surviving Mary Shelley, it's like a kanga dance. We're holding each other. We're throwing ourselves into a tremendous fling into the nonsense. But most of all, it's about finding out who were the pickers, who made those indents on the fruits of knowledge, the loves and losses of family, partner, children, and a beloved cousin. Poems of devotion and care and loyalty to the people that matter in your life, including those trusted guides and fellow travellers in writing. Lives that matter, like Rilke, Byron, the Shelleys, Pasternak, Tetseva, Simone Weil, and our own Seamus Heaney. The ghost search is there, and particularly it's trying to create a presence for those who are absent. The book, above all, is a homage to faith in love. As the Larkin quote at the beginning, all that's left is love. It's about the leap, a ghost search for the elusive, and it locates itself in the lived lives of loved ones. But back to the front image, and the way the woman on the wire is looking to and at her man, and the joy on his face. There's a heart-lift exhilaration in the beautiful abandon of taking the plunge. And sure, we'll see where we land, if at all.